Hey, what's going on, y'all? Now, in today's video, I want to talk about hedonism and how semen retention is freedom from hedonism. I'll start this off real rationally. What is hedonism? Hedonism is endlessly seeking pleasure. It's seeking pleasure in the belief that this is the end-all be-all, that this is the primary reason that we are here to exist, as is just to feel the best things and then to leave. And I want to disprove hedonism as, a viable lifestyle, a viable philosophy to live by. And I want to show why semen retention will take you away from hedonism and towards discipline, towards respect for yourself, towards the balance of suffering and pleasure. So, to start, hedonism is a bad way to live by because you can't have one without the other. You can't. And really, you can't value one without knowing the consequences of the other. You will never have a good day, or you would never value the quality of a good day if you hadn't gone through a bad one. It's like if you wouldn't be like, damn, like today was good if you hadn't gone through some real shit days in your life. You know what I mean? To give that good day context. And that's the thing about pain, suffering. It gives the good times context. Without it, if you're just full up on pleasure, you know what I'm saying? You really have no value for the pleasure because it's all you've known. It's all you know. If you only ever expose yourself to the wonderful things and the things that make you feel good, you never really get to experience the full breadth of life. And then when you don't experience that full breadth, you don't have the understanding, the comprehension of how good that actually is. And in fact, you start to get a tolerance to good things. You start to get a tolerance to feeling good, to all that dopamine rush in your brain. And so you have to seek more wondrous things and more wondrous things to even get the same level effect. It's like a drug user, you know? Like, and that's the thing, like happiness eventually gets old. Without suffering to renew it, happiness gets old. Feeling good all the time gets old. And so this endless search for pleasure that hedonism prescribes, it's not, you don't have to be a hedonist to have hedonistic traits. That's something I think is profuse in this world, without even realizing it, without even knowing the name or the way that we're living, we have fallen into pleasure over suffering. And I would like to first say that a lot of people would say suffering, failure, that's a prerequisite to ever actually gaining some real success, some real happiness. It's like you have to fail, you have to suffer before you ever get to the real happiness. Not the surface level happiness that, just makes you feel good for a little while. And then you gotta refresh it. I'm talking about that real deep happiness, that soul happiness. A lot of people have never even touched that. Because they're getting their happiness from all these outside sources. When, I think the truest of happiness, the truest gladness comes from after you've organized your life and disciplined yourself and you're on the right path and you have that feeling of self-assurity, like I'm doing all the right things, I'm making all the right moves. That's happiness. That's like that kind of contentment that's like just like right above the surface. It's like just moderately content, moderately happy. Just that's real. That's sustainable. When you're constantly seeking these big old dopamine jumps of pleasure. And that's really what people are doing when they're scrolling through TikTok. You know what I'm saying? People are trapped in the loop of their feed. And it's crazy. It's like they're feeding you this shit, bro. And people are gluttons. It's literally your feed, bro. And they're just feeding you endless posts. And you're just soaking them in, gluttonizing, you know what I mean? It's the same. Gluttony is the same thing. You're just filling yourself up on pleasure. Just trying to get as much as you can. When it's not even doing the same thing for you that it was doing originally. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to the same place. You're not feeling the same level of enjoyment, but you're still endlessly stuck here, scrolling. It's madness. And it's a sickness that is pervasive in our modern society. And what are some other ways that we are a hedonistic culture? You could argue drug use. I mean, and it's not to say that that's encouraged these days, but, it's like, you do see this push towards just do whatever makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? Do whatever makes you feel good. Like just Feelings. We're always concentrated on feelings these days, when if we just put our minds towards the real, what really matters is going through the grit, is overcoming things. And that's what takes you to happiness. So how can semen retention bring you to freedom from this hedonistic lifestyle that the modern society really encourages these days? To just seek good things, seek what makes you feel good. Semen retention puts you on the path towards discipline. You have to really discipline yourself. You have to really crack down on your behaviors if you ever want to actually be successful at semen retention. You have to actually really crack down on your lifestyle if you ever want to go somewhere with retention. And the thing is, that takes real dedication. That takes real fighting back against your behaviors. And that kind of discipline will take you way farther than hedonism ever will. That kind of discipline will take you to success. But you never get there without suffering. You have to suffer past the temptations, because the temptations will be coming for you. You know what I'm saying? Those temptations will be relentless. They will try for you until you have felt every ounce of yourself. You know what I mean? Have to fight against, your temptations. Sorry, I'm distracted. Got the guy coming to the park here. Yeah, you're gonna have to fight back against your own self. You're against your own behaviors, against your own desires. And that takes a matter of will. That takes a matter of strength, of discipline, of determination, if you ever want to come against that. And so it's when you start to engage with that and that struggle that you actually start to free yourself. That you actually start to free yourself from hedonism, because hedonism, again, prescribes endless pleasure. But to struggle, to suffer, well, that's work. That's hard work. You know what I'm saying? And that's the exact opposite. And a lot of hedonistic people would just say, hey, it's okay, just empty yourself with pleasure. Just whack off a couple times, 1 or 2 times. Like, it's just have a good time, man. Why you holding yourself back like this? And the thing is, because again, it's going through the suffering that brings you to true success. Going through that struggle that brings you to success. After you've gone through the first couple of weeks of retention and you've fought back, you've resisted, you've fought your base self, those base desires. Once you get to that point, you really start to reap the rewards. You start to just reap all those rewards that come with retaining. The confidence increase, the energy increase, the glow that comes out of your face and your eyes. I mean, there is so much to this retention journey that the testosterone boost, bro. If you want to believe nothing else, I can show you the study. If you don't ejaculate for a week, your testosterone goes up 145%. It's madness. It's like, if only the testosterone boost, bruh, which men desperately need, direly need in this day and age. Get it, bruh. You know what I mean? Get on this journey. And you will start to see hedonism be thrown out the window. It's like, okay, well, if discipline, if organizing my life in this regard can acquire me this, how else can I organize my life and discipline myself down so that I can enjoy life and reap more benefits, more rewards that come from discipline? And that's what I said in the beginning of the video, that I think the most, like you might get some happiness off of, you might, again, this is surface level happiness, but you might get some happiness off of, scrolling on your phone all day, or, again, smoking or doing whatever drug you do. But it's like, is that really lasting happiness? Is that happiness that's going to carry you onward? It's like, I'm not sure what people will be out here doing these days, but it's like people really are getting high off their own supply here. You know what I'm saying? They're getting high off their own need to consume. You know what I'm saying? Like, endlessly watching TV shows, like just endlessly feeding themselves goop gop, when you could be on a path that takes you above all of that. You know what I'm saying? Where you'll start to disregard even turning on the television. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, let me pick up a book. Let me open up a book. It's like, oh, well, man, that doesn't feel so good. It doesn't feel so good. I have to concentrate on words. That's what most of these people are thinking, bro. And then when they consider reading a book, but it's like, push yourself, open a book, force yourself to read for 20 minutes, bro. Just 20 minutes. Just force yourself to read for 20 minutes, and you might not want to put the book down. You might actually start enjoying yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, a lot of times I saw this image of it was a horse tied to a little plastic chair, and the horse was staying stationary. His reins were tied to the chair, and it's like, and the caption was, a lot of the things in life that we think are holding us back are just in our minds. You know what I'm saying? It's the same concept. Like, it's that mental resistance that's stopping you from being able to say, okay, well, maybe this will be a good book. Maybe I can enjoy myself here and just pick this up and actually concentrate on reading this. And it's that resistance, like, oh no, I'm not gonna, I wouldn't want to. It just doesn't feel good. If you could just push past that part, I'm saying, that imaginary part, you might actually find yourself in the reality of enjoying yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because a book can be very enjoyable if you just find the mental space to concentrate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a sad thing what our phones have done to us when you consider how um when you consider how they've shortened our attention spans. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look at me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Looking over at some distraction. Like, I'm saying, our attention spans have really have been sapped these days. And so to regain that, to force yourself to fight that, it's like, discipline yourself. Decide to do something that takes some effort. Specifically retention. That's one of the main things. And if you've never done anything like this before, hey, I suggest you jump in the deep end and get on some retention. Because not only will having conquered retention give you the motivation to start conquering other little things in your life, but the testosterone boost, the inner empowerment, you know what I'm saying? All that, the beautiful things that come with retention will make you more headstrong in this process of cleaning up your life and ridding yourself of these hedonistic traits, these hedonistic behaviors that have driven us to seek only good things, only things that make us feel good, only things that make us feel happy and feel nice, and really it's a sickness. Because again, and I'll say this as a closer, what is good without bad? You know what I'm saying? If you and really consider that, like, would you enjoy yourself as much if you didn't understand how bad things could be? You know what I mean? Like, paradise is only paradise because there's a hell that you could go to as well. There's a worse place you can go to. And that's the thing. This is a dualistic reality where if you have one thing, if you have this one side of the spectrum, there's always the other side, and that one thing wouldn't be itself without the other thing to give it context. You wouldn't. If you could only feel happiness, happiness wouldn't be all that. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be such a great thing to experience if there wasn't a down, if there wasn't a bad, if there wasn't a negative thing to feel, to be felt. So go through those negative emotions, go through those negative feelings, and that'll make your happiness worthwhile. And more often than not, going through those negative emotions and situations will bring you to a greater happiness than if you just sought happiness in and of itself. So go do the tough activities. Make the tough decisions. That'll bring you to a state of true happiness. Go through the suffering, overcome it, and you'll find real